Hi, everybody, and welcome. Today is the 17th of April, 2024. And today I am absolutely delighted to welcome Susan G. The lovely Susan G first came to OA around 1982 and 83, and she came all the way in 1999. So I think it's over to her now just to share her experience, strength, and hope. She is currently in Los Angeles, but is actually hails from England, from London. So I'll let her tell her story. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you, Rita, so much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Linda and Maria, for reading this morning. Welcome if you're new. I was poised to write down the names of any newcomers. So I'm sure you are here and you are now over the first scary part, right? You've shown up. So again, my name is Susan. I'm a recovered compulsive overeater. I live in Los Angeles. I have done for a very long time. I believe that God brought me here to find Overeaters Anonymous. I know that we are all here together, all around the world, but way back then, I don't think I would have found my way in London to these rooms. Today I was going through the forwards this morning in the fourth edition with a newer sponsee, and it said that we can participate in meetings online, sharing with fellows across the country or around the world. And in the last 4 years, I mean, golly gosh, when it says that you will make friends and they will meet you wherever you go, I have met so many of you. I have been coming in and I came in and out of these rooms for almost 16 years because I just couldn't fully concede to my innermost self that this was it, that I had to become a member of a club called Overeaters Anonymous. I have a sponsor who has a sponsor. We are not anonymous from each other. Deborah M. is my sponsor. She is okay with me saying that. And again, we're not anonymous from each other because our purpose is to be helpful to each other. And it also reads here that in order to stay sober and help other alcoholics, I have to continue to share my story. And it says, modem to modem or face to face, AA's OAs speak the language of the heart in all its power and simplicity. So I will reference a lot today, the Big Book and the AA 12 and 12. Those are my literature pieces of choice. So why am I here? I'm at a 100-pounder meeting today. I'm in a normal sized body, with no pills and potions, and by engaging in a relationship with a power who I choose to call God, my life has changed immensely. So let me just show you what it was like. Here we go. So to that person who said she envisioned me having curly hair and wearing shoulder pads today, not today, but I did. This left picture is taken before I moved to America in Regent's Park. I was on a seesaw just besides myself. It's so funny, all the things that we remember. And when I moved here to Los Angeles, my eating really took off because there was nobody watching me. Nobody could see me. And guess what they have in America? Drive-throughs. So nobody sees you and you learn to be a professional driver with your knees. And everybody says to you, I never see you eat. I don't understand. Well, we know because it's cunning, baffling, and powerful, and we're sneaky. And this was when food really, really did become my master. My eating really progressed here because I was just out in the field like a little pony finding my way. So I came in and out of the rooms, which I'll tell you about very briefly. And this is what happened when I first lost my weight. Clearly, I now straighten my hair and it's blonder and I'm older. And this is what I look like today. And we will get to the fun and friendship photos afterwards, which I have redone so that all are included and nobody gives me crap afterwards that they aren't in my photos. Anyway, 250 pounds, that is pretty uncomfortable. And even if you've come to this meeting today and you didn't weigh 100 pounds plus, as always, all are included. And this miracle is available if you're vomiting, if you're starving yourself. Everybody is welcome at this meeting here today. So I'm a champion dieter. I am a gold medalist. I will beat you. I can do it. I can stay stopped for a long time. But what happens when they say to me, Susan, you've reached maintenance, you're done. Here's another ribbon from Weight Watchers. Here's this, here's that. I'm left with this God-sized hole. And just like when Bill says, I was lonely and I drank again. I was lonely and I ate again and again and again. and I couldn't understand what was wrong with me. Moved to America. I know what to do to stay here. I have great jobs. I keep a lovely house. I know how to cook. I love to do my ironing. I mean, there's all kinds of great things we can add to this resume. I was killing myself with food. And as it says throughout all of the stories, how can such a smart fellow, how can such a this? I mean, we think about Fred going to Washington. Oh my gosh. And he had that perfect, as we would say today, Instagram photo. He had it going on. He couldn't stop drinking once he stopped. And I just couldn't. I ingested certain foods, went from slices to loaves, from cups to gallons. And I would tell stories when I bought these things. When I bought cakes to come home and eat, I'd buy candles and maybe have your name written on them. And food became my master, just like Bill says, it progressed. Potential alcoholic that I was. And I could stop, but just like it says, test it out for yourself. Go to the nearest bar and bakery, whatever it is, have whatever you need, but stop abruptly. I cannot stop abruptly. And if you aren't sure if you belong here, go on to oa.org and they have 15 questions. I'm ticking them all off after the first few words because I know who I am and I know who I'm not. So if you are a seriously alcoholic, addicted to food, as I once was, there is no middle of the road solution. I'm on page 25 of the big book. There is a solution. And I was passing into a position in life where life was becoming impossible. And OA and 12-step meetings just kept coming, slamming me in the face because I lived in Los Angeles. And it started right here, OA, not far from where I now live. And I couldn't escape you people. I could not get away with you. I would drive to all areas of town to get injections, to get stuff. Let me try cocaine. Maybe that will work. Oh, I got a nosebleed. I'm too precious. I don't like that kind of stuff. So that was an easy way to stop that. And I couldn't stop eating once I ingested certain foods. And there's a chapter in the big book called The Doctor's Opinion. And it says that unless I have an entire psychic change, this insanity of thinking, go and get your jaw wired shut, that seems like a splendid idea. I mean, you can't eat. You are going to emerge triumphant. This is going to be amazing. But for 3 months, having my jaw wired shut at 250 pounds, and as I always say, because I really want people to understand what that means, it's not just a little needle that they take that you're just stitching up the hem of your trousers. It is a large needle with wire on it that goes in and out of each tooth, across, and then up and down and up and down. And if you are as seriously alcoholic as I once was, you will now understand when I say to you, I did not lose 1 pound in 3 months, weighing 250 pounds. Do you know how much cold stuff I drove through and bought to maintain that weight? And I'm sure that there are many of you here who can identify and relate to that. So if you're thinking about doing it, I don't really advise it. And it says that for some reasons yet obscure, I lost the power of choice in eating. So I came in and out of the rooms, I would come in, and of course, when I was down, I came back more. Don't try and pull me off of my bar stool. But when I'm crying on a Sunday night and I've got nothing to wear on Monday morning, that's when you might suggest to me, perhaps you want to go back to a meeting. So I would walk in with my arms folded. We had phenomenal in-person meetings here, and we still do, and on Zoom, and 100 plus. And I would go to the back of the room and sit there with my arms folded, Miss Pissy Pants, all annoyed at everybody that I was there. And you just smiled at me really kindly, and you said, "We're so happy that you're here." And I would think, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? It's just so American. It's obviously a cult, and you're trying to get my money. But that wasn't the case. You knew the pain that I was in. You could see it in my eyes, just the same way that when Bill opened the door to Ebby saw the pain in his friend's heart. And just like Bill, my icy intellect had to be melted. And I have a good friend who always said, and she actually said it on a meeting this morning, had to step off of that bridge of reason onto the shore of faith. Also in the book. We all sound like geniuses if you're new, but they are all words that we've taken from the literature. And I tried to reason my way out of this and self-knowledge, and this couldn't possibly be happening, and this can't be my life. And today I would not want my life to be any other way. So in 1999, I came back for my sister's wedding to the UK. Nothing like a good family trip when you're going to practice your really bad principles in all your affairs. Let me tell you, faced with a self-imposed crisis, nothing will bring you back down to your knees as much. Thank you. Got it. Thank you. So I had to make that decision. I wasn't knowing at the time I was making a decision for me that was God was everything or God was nothing. I just knew that I couldn't do this journey on my own anymore. I had thrown so much money at this. I had been successful, but don't blink, because if I leave the room and come back, the trousers and the dress ain't fitting and I'm miserable again and I'm hating on you for my life. And that's the unmanageability, right? Everything that goes on up here. And I learned that this centers in my mind. And for a girl like me, it shows up for me physically. People come here, all shapes, all sizes, and all are welcome. So I came in and I got to work. Did not go through the steps in a week or in 2 weeks, but got through the steps at a rapid, great pace. And I had to get radically honest. There could be no, well, sort of, I'm not sure, because that's what I'd always done. You know, who left this container empty? Who did that? I used to leave empty containers where I used to go babysitting. And these were some of my sister's best friends. I mean, when I think about it now, oh my gosh, but that's how my mind worked. And just like Bill, just like Dr. Bob, I was reading Dr. Bob's story this morning with somebody, you know, all the things that we do and we think that nobody knows. And Dr. Bob's wife said, she always checked the top of the loo. She always looked. She knew. We think that we are fooling people. But I know for me, I'm not. So I chose to pick up this simple kit of spiritual tools that were put at my feet. So do we have tools? Absolutely we do. And for me, those are the handrails to God. I can't do this without a sponsor. I can't do it without a literature plan. I need a plan of eating that works for me, not for you. My absence is black and white. It is what sobriety is to the alcoholic, and we have a very clear definition. And today, you know, what I really work on is that those behaviors, that emotional sobriety, because that's a big one. And that's why Bill Wilson probably called it the last frontier. So I got to work, and just to be very clear, I still had a lurking notion that I would leave. So I chose a sponsor in Florida. Well, it was, you know, we were coming up to 2000. Susan, how did you ever meet somebody in Florida? Well, somebody from here who had taken me to one of my first meetings had moved there. So I had a way. And when I called this woman, she said to me, well, Los Angeles is the hub of OA. There has to be plenty of people. There's nobody here. Nobody's available. I hadn't asked one person. I was desperate and drowning when I came back from that trip to the UK. And I was finally willing to admit complete defeat, which it tells me in the AA 12 and 12 that I have to do. And it says you're not going to like it, nor are you going to like the leveling of pride. That is not going to be fun. But what I've learned today is, you know, there are all these impediments to recovery. And thank goodness, you know, I let it all go, because once I was in, you know, I came all the way in and I sat all the way down. And I hope today that you will listen for the invitation. And if I say something that sort of pisses you off, you know, maybe make a phone call and look at that. Because normally when somebody says something in a meeting that gets me jiggy, it's something that I need to look at. And either call Deborah or call one of you, because I have to call myself out today. It doesn't feel comfortable to sit in discomfort anymore. And we have so many ways out. It talks about that in step 12, which I'll get to near the end. You know, it talks about that we have a way up and out from this misery. So I worked with this very kind lady in Fort Lauderdale for 2 years, flew there gave away my, my fifth step, and my life started to get better. And all of a sudden, you're looking so much more attractive than you ever were before. And I'm not hiding in the back row and, oh, I would like to read. I'm happy to be a timer. I'm not slithering out the back door anymore. I'm there. I'm putting my real phone number on the phone sheet because, come on, I'm sure you've all done one digit wrong. And then it was answer phones. So I could just hit erase and do it. Never ever happened. And today I don't live my life that way. So, I believe today that God launched that search and rescue to bring me here, get to work, and to share what I have. And from page 1 in the big book, it talks about this altruistic movement and how this competent businessman of good earning knew that he had to give this away. And that is one of my greatest joys. I worked through the steps. I turned my will and my life over. And once I did that with complete abandon, I really had to watch myself. Because I can't make excuses and go, oh, just give it to God. I'll just give it to God. It's all right. No, it's not. I can't keep treading on the toes of my fellows. And more importantly, the people around me, practicing those principles in all my affairs. I used to walk with my family and just like the Terminator, blow everything up when I left the room if I'd been eating, and they would just all sit there stunned and gobsmacked, like, what did she just say? What just happened? We were having a great time. And today I don't do that. Do I muck up sometimes? Absolutely, I'm human. But I immediately repair it. I don't always want to, and sometimes I'll dig my heels in and try and negotiate and say, wow, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just stop it now. Just stop it now. Go and take care of it. And that's where God intervenes always. God always intervenes. Then, so 1, 2, and 3. So I built that solid foundation. That foundation of my arch to freedom is holding up a lot. Let me see if I can pull up the arch while I'm talking. It really is very, very substantial. And here in Los Angeles, if we don't have a strong arch, when along comes an earthquake, we're not going to do very well. We're just not. So this is what the Arch to Freedom looks like. Maxine gave me this many, many years ago, and I love it. So look at how big that foundation is of willingness. Sorry, it's a bit crooked. Obviously, I didn't take a very straight photo when I took the photo. The most pages in the big book are spent on step 1. So clearly, I've made a mess of my life and I've got to clean it up. And then here we go, that cornerstone came to believe. I didn't not believe in a God, but I didn't know that it was available for me all the time. I thought it was just about Sunday nights. So I came to build and change on that relationship with God. And then, I walked through and, I'm sure many of you have done it here. And if you never ever have, I really suggest it. Step 3, reading it in the personal pronoun. I mean, to read, my troubles, I think, are basically of my own making. They are. I just had a conversation with one of you the other day, and they are of my own making. And also it tells me in here that above everything, I must be rid of my selfishness. We must, or it kills us. God makes that possible. God makes that possible. So I have to decide that I am no longer God, quit playing that. And I decide that hereafter in this drama of life, God's going to be my director. And it says that this concept is the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom. On page 27 here, I'll take this down. If anyone wants it, just text me or WhatsApp me. I find it very helpful myself. On page 27, as I'm looking at 63, page 27, if you've read the story about Roland Hazard going to stay with Dr. Young, he goes back to him after he drinks. He has no protection. He wasn't safe and protected. And that's what kept happening to me. So when they say, Susan, you've reached maintenance, do you want to come work with us at Weight Watchers? Not really, no. Would you like to do a photo shoot for Nutrisystem? Oh, of course, Miss Vanity Fair. Of course, I wanted to do that. I was in what was called TV Guide at the time, like the Radio Times. A tiny little blob. Tiny little blob. But of course, my ego wanted to do that, but thank God they didn't ask me to come back a year later for a reunion. Thank God they didn't, because guess what? I would have had to avoid their calls.
That's
So 10 more. Great. Thank you so much. So what's happened to me here, my ideas, emotions, and attitude, which were once the guiding force of the lives of these men and women, are suddenly cast to one side. This is change. This is the emotional rearrangement that God has gifted. I am a miracle. What has happened to me is remarkable. Number one, there's a very small percentage of people in the world without pills and potions who lose 100 pounds. I'm going to have 25 years in August, and that is not because I'm so fabulous. It's because of this fellowship. It's because I'm in partnership with God. It's because I do work with others. I give service. I give back because you have so generously given me a life that is way beyond the vision boards I used to make, way beyond them. They did look good, a couple of Oprah magazines. They were quite fabulous. And it says that I've been given a completely new set of conceptions and motives which begin to dominate me. Not in that obsessive way like I used to be after I had a bite, because then I was biologically compulsed. Stand out of my way. And every time I dieted, by the way, the frothy emotional appeal and things that I would do, oh my gosh. I mean, how many wardrobes I have bought, disappointing behaviors with men. We have worked through that. Poor Deborah had to hear all of that, done some very thorough sex inventories, lucky woman. And this emotional rearrangement has been produced as the result of working these steps. So, and then steps, so 5 and 6, 6 and 7. Yeah, I have a few defects. I still have them. But now I laugh at myself. I laugh at myself, truly. And it says that the joy of living is the key, is the theme of AA's 12-step and action is its key word. So I came in here with a little bit of willingness. I came in here with a willingness to get thin and to, off. But just like Alice in Wonderland, and it talks about it in the AA 12 and 12, that door of willingness. So she was peeking in, that party kind of looks like fun. And then I pushed it all the way open into the sunlight of the spirit. All the way open. And I do have, as Roseanne said today, a life beyond my wildest dreams. And in the beginning of the AA 12 and 12, there's a wonderful contents. And it says under step 12, which is all about service, that we have giving that asks no rewards, love that has no price tag. We place spiritual growth first. Understanding is the key to right attitudes, right action, and the key to good living. I work intensely with others in this program. If you come to Vision for You, you will hear me being of service. I moderate tomorrow at the later meeting. Please come. We have so much fun. I've served on both intergroups out here. And again, this is not because I'm a superhero. It's because I want to give back and I need OA to survive. If you haven't been to the birthday party in January, I want to see you on the dance floor. We are going to have an incredible weekend as we always do. It tells me here on page 153. So, if you want what we have is what it's saying, should you wish them above all else and be willing to make use of our experience. So there's 2 conditions there already. We are sure they will come. So I can't water down this message. I can't tell you they're there. It's okay. I have to help you get back on your feet. I want to make sure that you are fresh-skinned and smiling. The age of miracles is still with us. It tells us that you will meet friends wherever you go and along the way that we are going to meet you. So why is that not working? Oh, here it is. Here it is. So I don't know how to get rid of all my other stuff. So hold on, people. This is what happens as you go along the way. You meet all of these beautiful friends from all over the world. Some of them you will recognize, some of them you haven't met yet. We have a great circle out here. Some of them are voices, and maybe you don't know them yet, or their faces. I'm not going through them all. Don't worry, I'm getting to the UK. I'm getting to the Birmingham Convention from last year. Don't you? That's Harlan, if you've never seen him before. Here's some other friends. It was me, see, at the disco. We are at the disco, and I even put sparkle on my eyes, but it was a little sticky. It's Melissa C, if you don't know her. There's Deborah, there's Lewis, Hillary, Kelly. Here we go, here we go. There's all my friends. If your name is Claire, say yay. This was in Birmingham. Sorry, other Claire, I don't know where you were for this photo. And there's the lovely Rebecca. And why is something else coming up on my screen? Bugger off. Hold on a second. Oh, the text is coming through. There's some more friends from Ireland, and there's a group of us outside before we were all leaving that day. Sorry, Zoe, your eyes are closed, but they're open. There I am wearing my Irish t-shirt that I bought with Maria. And there we go with my lovely friend Rita. And then I was in Manchester, actually. We were in a beautiful place. It was a converted train station, I think. She'll correct me if I'm wrong. This is available to everybody. Please don't give up before your miracle. You know, my job today was to share my message of experience, strength, and hope. I suffered for a long time. It took a long time for me to be out of ideas. And I had to know that all other methods had failed me completely. Like it says, he endured. I endured 16 more years of pain once I knew about these rooms. And I probably have a couple more minutes, and I'm going to close with this little story very, very quickly, which some of you have heard, and so what, you'll hear it again. Because this is my big push to say you never know who you are going to affect. Please return those phone calls. Please return them. The person who took me to my first meeting, it was either in 82 or 83, I met at a gym at 250 pounds. And she invited me to a meeting of which I had no choice to go to because I didn't have a car. And the other person I was driving to the gym with was going to this meeting. That was God. I never ever saw that person again. I never ever forgot her name. And over the years, a few times when I was speaking at different podiums out here, people would say, oh, she still comes. And I would just go, oh, okay, it was just part of my story. About 3 years ago now, Deborah invited me to speak at a meeting. And I said this person's name at the beginning. And all of a sudden, like the lights were going on in some of my friends' faces. And the same man who had said to me, she still comes, mouthed to me, she's here. And this woman's name is Stacy, and she's fine if I say her name, and she lives in San Diego. And it turns out that she was also the best friend of one of my dearest friends and sponsees in these rooms who had never ever connected the story before. So here I was probably at the time at 21 or 22 years, and you wouldn't be able to say this without crying. And at the end of my talk, she wrote in the chat to me, Susan, I'm here with Stacy. And I cannot tell you how that felt to be able to thank this person again. And when we were at the birthday party 2 years ago, one of our friends has an Olympic torch and we passed it around all the countries. And I had Stacy give it to me on the stage as a thank you to that person who passed it on to me. I would not be sitting here if those people hadn't have put me in that car. If God hadn't have said to me, go to America, you have somewhere to go, you will be okay. And today I am more than okay, and I have all of you to thank for that. So before I start getting really snotty, I'm just going to say thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. And I look forward to seeing all of you in January. And with that, I will pass. Thank you, Rita.
Thank you so much, Susan. What a message of depth and weight. And I'll just give you the jazz answer. I'm just going to read a little paragraph out of the big book to thank you. We have been speaking to you of serious, sometimes tragic things. We have been dealing with alcohol in its worst, food in its worst aspect. But we aren't a glum lot. If newcomers could see no joy or fun in our existence, they wouldn't want it. We absolutely insist on enjoying life. We try not to indulge in cynicism over the state of the nations, nor do we carry the world's troubles on our shoulders. So we think cheerfulness and laughter make for usefulness. Outsiders are sometimes shocked when we burst into merriment over a seemingly tragic experience out of the past. But why shouldn't we laugh? We have recovered and have been given the power to help others.